Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Games Jobs Live live stream. I'm Harry Petch, the community and content manager for Games Jobs Live. And yeah, we're back at it once again with yet one more Jobs Board highlights video. Video, live stream, close enough. So yeah, we're back with another Jobs Board highlights live stream. We've come up to 5 of these now. So wow, we've already covered quite a lot of disciplines. We've covered like 3D art, 2D art last week with Fergus from Team Terrible. That was fantastic. We did some stuff on QA and like code roles already, some design and production roles. But this time we are going to be exploring the wild and magical world of the other category. So yeah, let's just quickly to explain what I mean. The Games Jobs Live jobs board. We have our different discipline breakdowns for all these different types of disciplines, and as our software is still a little bit of like a work in progress, we try to organize them automatically into all of the roles that make sense. But the other category, which has about 47 roles in it currently, typically, if we filter by it, tends to be a lot of roles that either don't fit into any of the other disciplines, might be incorrectly tagged and have just kind of like filtered into here because the system is still a little bit of a work in progress, or otherwise, a few other interesting jobs that are surrounding games and lets you sort of get that experience of working in a game studio, but might not be directly hands-on with projects. So, I do recommend if you do take a look at the Games Jobs Live jobs board. Again, we've still got a lot of them up. It recently refreshed around like the middle of the month, but again, we update it every month, so there'll be one sort of in the first like week or two of June featuring all of the new jobs at the time. It's worth taking a look at the other category because there might be some interesting things from these company websites that might be incorrectly tagged. And that might mean there might be less people going for them, which could end up really helping you out. And from my own experience, going for those kind of other disciplines of jobs, I'm currently going into this also going on my own jobs journey. And even, finding out being able to work on Games Jobs Live is this, side like, HR, PR kind of side of things, doing a bit of like the promotion. And you can often find there's like a lot of simple, soft skills you can sort of learn. And even if it is something, say, like a secretary position or something that is a bit more general, what companies like to definitely see, in my own experience, is any form of interaction of being within like a studio environment. So, whilst, this could be like quite literally in terms of helping out, like stocking the kitchens and all of that kind of jazz, getting the foot in the door with those studios. But, that's enough waffle from me. I think let's take a look at a couple of maybe ones from Australia, maybe ones from the UK. We've got a lot from Australia here. But let's take a look at the other category. Let's pop this off the screen. Oh, and of course, the couple extra things as well. Do check out the Games Jobs Live Discord as well. We've got a lot of, fancy stuff still going. Obviously, we've got the game parade still coming up. So there'll be a lot of exciting things there. And obviously, check out the jobs board at gamesjobs.live as well if you want to take a look at these jobs as well. I'll try to fit them in the description. Need to go back and update them for a couple of the other ones. But if you do see this when it's coming out, these should still be live on the website as of recording. Yeah, without further ado, let's just hop straight into it. But yeah, so looking at this sort of other category, I want to filter. There's thankfully one junior position. So I love taking a look at the juniors first. But let's take a look at this one from Tape 2 Interactive, based in around London, it seems, looking for intern people operations. So they're looking for people operations and intern. Specifically, someone willing to work from July 2025, being a undergraduate student or on an industrial placement year course, return study in autumn. Okay. Yep. Again, with a lot of games courses, if you're this seems specifically targeted to ones who are in university. Yes, as part of the sandwich year. I'd be interested because in some universities in Scotland, obviously they don't really do a sandwich year. But I suppose it would be interesting if you see this and you're on a university degree still put that out there because I do know people from my own courses who are able to negotiate with the university and have that industry placement year. So yeah, but there's still a bit more information there. So let's quickly skim through some of this. So the challenge, which should be okay, where you're working in. Should be working in the International Human Resources Department. So yeah, obviously Take Two, massive conglomerate of a publisher. You know, obviously they own Rockstar Games, which Rockstar themselves have a whole bunch of studios across the entire world. So the International Human Resources wanting to work with UK, Europe, and Middle Eastern companies within them. Awesome. Willing to find someone who's proactive, engaging, collaborative, capable, high quality HR generalist support. Okay, so yes, human relations, being able to human relations. Is there any more information? Don't think so, apart from the communication skills, detail, confidentiality, commitment, and a willingness to work hard. Okay, let's take a look at some of these specific things that this job would be looking for. The purpose of this role, HR support, yep, as said. So, efficient employee lifecycle processes and maintaining a positive employee experience. So let's look at some of those HR tasks. Coordinating pre-start employment-related checks, onboarding and offboarding of new starters and leavers. Okay, cool. So as an intern, yeah, you'd still be helping out within the hiring process. It gets a little bit meta there. Coordinating recruitment activities by creating and closing job requisitions. Yeah, okay. You know, creating the job specs like the ones we're reading, closing them down. Interesting. Supporting the operational aspects of employee transfers. Okay, yeah, a lot of this is reading some good admin stuff. Employee lifecycle administration support, processing starters, leavers, and job change information across UK and international territories. So yeah, like the probably willingness to be able to engage with the necessary jobs bodies within like the UK, like the government, and properly listing it. That might also potentially involve giving the right employee information out to things like accountants, assisting with immigration records and processes. We're seeing home office requirements. Good. Okay, probationary reviews, managers, updating the HRIS. So quick Google of HRIS. Let's take a quick peek at that. Just taking a quick Google. Thank you, Oracle. Human resources information systems. So software that maintains, manages, and processes detailed employee information. So, okay, yes. So this kind of okay. That definitely works. I wonder if there are any free HRIS systems, which actually we can probably take a quick Google about. Again, I suppose good stuff for this as well. If you are running your own business, like say you're creating a studio, I believe this seems interesting. Again, we're not sponsored or anything by any of these, so do your own research. Sign up for free or book a free demo. Okay, it seems to be seems to just sort of compile a lot of employee information, potentially. Yeah, stuff like calendars and time tracking. Interesting. If you have any any team lead experience in game jam teams, potentially, if you do HR already, anything like that involves organization, seems to sort of, that would be enough to pretty much fit in within a lot of this stuff. But it's always good to Google some of those key terms and phrases. All right. Let's see. Yeah, benefits administration, reference requests. Yes. Well, it's very thankful that all of this is very specific in terms of what you're going to be doing. Recording processes and invoices. All of this is stuff that is fairly be able to use software, be able to be adapted to it. Writing emails, follow the ticketing system. So again, even stuff like potentially Discord, moderator experience could be good ways of sort of volunteering, getting a checkup into these kind of systems. Yep. Let's see. Preparing files for audit, doing reporting, just supporting HR projects. Awesome. And specifically in terms of their requirements, they don't list anything specifically that they're looking for. They're just looking for people who, are able to basically do the work, maintaining strict confidentiality. Very important if you're in HR, I believe. Awareness of own limitations and when to escalate and seek advice. I've not seen that a lot in junior um job applications. But that's a quite like I think quite a good line that just goes beyond even just this kind of job. Hardworking under pressure. Yeah, a lot of these basically saying, you know, be able to do the work and be able to be comfortable doing it. Apologies, everybody. But yeah, again, interestingly enough, this project does not require any like specific degrees. So I think if you're able to sort of come at this one potentially with coming from a games experience, if you have been working on games and looking to pivot into this role seems like it might be like again quite useful to be able to show as a credit you've worked at like a big studio. You can potentially use some of your real experience if you've worked on stuff with like teams, potentially in this role. You know, stuff like Jira is not strictly like HRIS, but I believe that kind of stuff must kind of relate to it. And also, you know, if you're able to find like free software and you're working on your own, like say indie company or your own kind of like publishing label, if you're going through like the right like proper systems, you know, properly like through Companies House, etc., you might have to interface with these systems anyway. So any of that kind of experience can probably do you really well here. That seems like an interesting one. Let's see. Let's take a look going back. That was the one junior role that's available. Take a look at some of these other roles that are available here. Another like workspace experience coordinator. They want to see the website for that again. Apologies. Sometimes the website requires a little bit. Sometimes the website doesn't exactly capture everything. But yeah, I want to take a look at this epic role. SDET. Never heard of that before. Let's find out what it is together. SDET, which is interesting. So they're listing this as like a quality assurance job at Epic Games, located in the London studio. Okay. Software development engineer in test. Oh, right. Okay, this is interesting. So this is like a quality assurance role, but it's not fully fallen into that role. Again, here's that example of a role that should be probably in QA, but ended up not falling within that. So we working on Epic's anti-cheat teams. That will be working on Easy Anti-Cheat, which Epic, I believe, own. QA expert developer who thrives at developing roles at scale. Yeah, building testing tools and automation frameworks. So this is actually, yeah, definitely software engineer. So, man, if only we had this role during the QA and production one, that would have been really interesting. Quick looking at the chat from NMCA142. Would I be able to look for placements on this website? The Games Jobs Live jobs board. Specifically, it's like different companies listing these stuffs on here, and it's different companies we directly scrape from each of these websites that we track. We look at their actual jobs board and we put the links to all of those content within our jobs automatically. If you go to the posted jobs section, and you're looking at a free listing, this one's mostly specifically for the employers, to put things down rather than being a potential looking for work. If you are like looking for work, I would recommend checking out the Games Jobs Live Discord, of course, because we do have a jobs and team finding channel within that. And also there are other great spaces as well, like work with indies, into games. They also have good resources that can promote like you as a person as well. So hopefully that works. I'll also just put Discord link in the chat there. So yeah, those might be good places to pop those in, I think. But yeah, I'll say yeah. And if anybody wants to comment, in the chat, ask about any of the things. I don't necessarily, again, I don't have too much experience in a lot of stuff in the other category. So I'm really just working this out along with you all. But it'd be good if you got any insights, any comments. Would love to see them. But yeah, this seems very much a role that would actually fit people doing like computer science or people who've worked in, again, wanting to work in software engineering roles. And obviously QA is a bit of a stepping stone into the industry. It seems pretty interesting on that front. because it seems to be about building like automated testing systems. Yeah, working on easy anti-cheat. Yeah, able to do complex text test scenarios. Taking a look around. They don't specifically list anything like years that they're looking for here, but proven experience owning design, implementation, deployment, and maintenance of automated tests and frameworks. C++, they want to see C++, and they'd like to see a whole bunch of other languages as well. That's good stuff to keep note for your portfolio if you're in a programming portfolio. Good knowledge on how game engines work. Yeah, specifically Unreal Engine. I wonder why Epic Games would be looking for that. I presume it's because they use Unreal Engine. They are Unreal Engine, literally. Some experience with end-to-end functional unit tests. Yeah, they seem to sort of be looking for people who have a bit of experience working with stuff and working with hardware specifically, maybe also stuff like consoles. So if you have gotten that, I know there are, again, different internship schemes. I believe Epic also do a kind of like Epic Games education scheme, or they sponsor some different schemes to be able to learn some of these processes, but you'll have to look that up because I don't have that immediately on hand. Experience with polyglot development. What is polyglot development? Let's find out. Polyglot development. Let's take a look at polyglot development because I'm interested in what that is. So, writing code in multiple languages to capture additional functionality. Huh. That is interesting. Write code in more than one language to capture the benefits and efficiency of all these languages. That seems excessive, but that seems pretty excessive, but that seems interesting. Yeah, okay. That's interesting. So I guess that's presumably why they want to see C++ and potentially proficiency with other languages. Try to write them in different ones, see which ones would work faster. That seems to make a lot of sense. And they're open to multiple locations in Europe, which seems to be quite good. So I wonder if this is only hiring for one role or for multiple roles. And of course, then naming some stuff like databases, backend services, Jenkins, that was mentioned back in our third jobs board highlights about QA and programming. That's a free piece of software which you can learn how to use. Obviously, AWS as well. And I mean, if you are currently studying at something like university, I know you can get the GitHub Student Pack, and I believe they have some like deals with getting AWS servers for a lot cheaper if you have like a student account with them. And GitHub do a way of like folding that all into one little package that you can just sign up for. That is interesting. Very well. That's an interesting QA role. Brilliant. All right. Take a look at another ones. Again, there's some I'm looking at all disciplines, my bad. Let's go back to other. Let's take a look at a couple others. How's Rebellion 1? Okay, Rebellion 1 is the website. Oh, quick look in the chat. Also, Flaming910. Love the profile picture. How much value added would you say there is to getting a master's in games programming? Again, I will say I'm not exactly going to be the right person to answer this because I'm also looking for a job as well. But I think from experience and sort of seeing what other people have found, having a like master's in games programming tends to sort of be helpful. Definitely, I think people who've done like a master's course tend to sort of be able to show that they have a lot more experience working in like industry pipelines, from what I understand. So yes, but I would totally take that one with a pinch of salt from like my point of view. I think being able to just have a portfolio of high quality stuff is ultimately what you're going to want. I think a master's is a pretty good way towards getting towards that, but ultimately, a master's could be helpful, but it will really depend on like what you're looking to get out of it, basically. For example, I could have done like a master's at the university I went to. I chose not to ultimately because like I felt I wasn't going to learn learn like enough of what I wanted out of that currently at this stage. I might potentially go back and get one at some point. And also, obviously doing the masters kind of helps where the industry currently in a really turbulent time. So if you're able to spend that time having that stability and being able to get that experience, that could be useful. But I've kind of chosen not to go down that route, and I do hope that ends up paying off. So there's like benefits and drawbacks to both. But if you are going for a master's in games programming, good luck. I think, yeah, maybe also that software engineering diversifying out, because a lot of the games programming like sort of roles, at least if you check back on the third jobs board highlights, there was like a lot of mention that it really overlaps with software engineering. So yeah, I think games programming and software engineering, like those roles really kind of like overlap and overlink. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully that helps you out there. Taking a quick look, I'm going to take a look at maybe one or two more little roles today. Swear I saw someone's buildings assistant from Creative Assembly. Let's see. Let's take a look at this one. Here we are. A 12-month fixed term contract. Yeah, literally stuff like a buildings assistant. That's being able to work from anywhere for a temporary period each year. That's very interesting. The opportunity to attend, speak at global events. Okay, they're talking a lot in terms of specific studio benefits. I think that must be just generally for the studio rather than for this specific role, but because as a buildings assistant, they're looking for someone who can work in specifically West Sussex, very specifically, and probably helping with the building itself. So this one, they'd have a building assistant reporting to a buildings manager, be responsible to helping manage and maintain all aspects of the facilities and environment, health, safety, and fire safety performance. Oh, got to have a good health and safety guy. Also managing outsourced third-party facilities and providers on the Horsham site. Interesting. All right, so yeah, responsible for maintaining clean and tidy studio environment. Awesome. Okay. So again, this one physically gets you a foot in the door into a game studio. So assisting a buildings manager oversees day-to-day fire, health, and safety compliance. Yeah, fire and health. I'd never really thought about it, but fire, like, and health and safety, so like in-game studios where you've got like a lot of electronics like constantly running. Probably, yeah. I never really realized, but yeah, makes sense that you need to have quite a strong appearance with those. Work with the finance department, working in developing, environment management system, first port of calls when there's aspects of the studio. Awesome. Yeah, very much seems very kind of similar also to like a sort of AV job as well. So weekly, documentation, office walkarounds, make sure everything's all good. Interesting. Let's see some knowledge. Experience in implementing environment and health and safety management systems. Okay. Not quite too sure what that means or how you can really work to sort of demonstrate that. But I mean, I can think of some ways if you have experience basically doing a bit of health and safety and pointing out where there might be issues. That kind of thing might help. I know, like, we did a lot of that in geography when I was studying geography back in the day. Strong interest in sustainable development in a business context. That doesn't really mean too much for this. Doing admin-based work, yeah, having an admin position previously, some manual handling. Okay, yeah, just seems basically like an office worker being able to just sort of help out in the office, definitely. Which again, this could be quite good for someone looking just for a role in a studio to try and sort of get that foot in the door. That's interesting. All right. Let's take a look at one more today. Oh, talking about senior IT and AV. Let's take a look at one of these, an IT AV specialist at Dream Games, which I've not heard of that studio before. I wonder. Oops. That's the source code. What do Dream Games work on? They're a mobile game company based in Istanbul and London. Okay, that's interesting. Awesome. So they would be looking for an IT AV specialist. Again, AV specialists, is doing setups for video conferences, presentations, live events, presumably, running and maintaining different IT infrastructure. And this is a senior position, so it seems like a lot of the usual stuff, being able to monitor hardware, software, troubleshoot it, configure, maintain, upgrade IT infrastructure, manage AV administration. Apologies, everybody. Support the purchasing team with all IT and AV matters. Manage the IT requirements for onboarding and offboarding. Managing IT assets from acquisition to disposal. All right, and following new technology, integrating them into the company. All right, yeah. So again, that seems to be a bit more of a general role rather than one that is specifically kind of more. This one's more generalist. But the key thing, the passion and interest in games. Obviously, if you have a background in games, you can prove that. That kind of stuff is going to go a long way rather than someone who's coming strictly from, say, like an IT AV fully background. I know there'll be there's probably like different internships and stuff like that working with IT fields, because so many businesses these days do just have like IT departments that, if you have experience in software, including game software, including troubleshooting game software, that can probably get you a foot in the door because it can show you know how to work on one piece of software. They'll probably be able to push you through the rest of it. But for the senior one, they're pretty much looking for someone with 5 years of work experience, which, if you're looking as these kind of roles as a stepping stone into the games industry, potentially you might probably wouldn't be at this point. Or if you are at this point, then, I'm wishing you the best of luck in terms of branching out from this point. But yeah, although what I will say, a benefit of doing these kind of jobs is being able to work in that studio environment and understand the games industry from this context, whilst potentially still having the freedom to have a lot of creative freedom in your own free time and work on what you want to work on. Because normally in a fully strict, games role in a company, you're going to mostly be working on those games and not have a lot of time, or potentially not even the leeway due to non-compete agreements to work on stuff. And I wouldn't take this as gospel because, again, I don't particularly know, but these kind of more generalist roles feels you might have less attachment or less of those kind of requirements to work with that. So that could work really quite well for your personal development. So potentially worth considering if you're really desperate to physically get into the studio and start making an impact that way. But yeah, honestly, I think. And then, hey, we've got another SDET profile. I'm interested. There's a couple of voice actors here, actually. I'm surprised that they managed to put some voice actor profiles up on here as well. Yeah, if you're a voice actor and you're watching this, which would be seeing as we haven't really pushed into voice acting, that kind of side of it, be quite a surprise. But hello. Another great place to look in terms of voice acting stuff is there's the Casting Call Club. That's quite an iconic. And if you're both maybe a sound designer looking to get voice actors to help you with the project on either through commission or through volunteering, that's a free website you can sign up for, and you can put things out there. And as a voice actor, you can put yourself out there as well. So I've taken a look at that website in the past, but yeah, Black Crow seem to be looking for a voice actor, which is nice and interesting. That's interesting. I suppose with that, honestly, I think, yeah, it's a bit of a much shorter live stream than usual this time. But again, we're taking a couple look at a few of these. Let's see if this one. I want to take one look at this immutable one. Customer growth lead. Here we are. It's much more of a lead position. Curious as to what they're looking for here in Australia. So, oh my gosh, yeah, this is very much a leadership position. It's working in stuff like, Web3, Web3 blockchain and crypto projects, which, might not be the most might not be the most stable of markets if we were to sort of put it that way. Um, and I'm particularly interested they're potentially looking for 3 years in high performing environments such as consulting, investment banking, or an operator in a tech scale up. So yeah, I think this definitely seems quite beyond the kind of caliber we sort of are looking for here at Games Jobs Live. So I think with that, honestly, we'll probably call it here actually. Yeah, overall, those are just kind of a couple of interesting jobs that I just sort of took a look through just on the jobs board that are good if you want to get a physical foot in the door in the studio. And again, taking a look at the other categories, see if there are any ones that would be, say for example, those QA jobs, those ones that link between software, between code and QA. Those have sometimes sort of fallen into that other category. So while we probably try to get that updated, it's good to check that as well and see if there's any interesting things in there as well. But, getting experience in an office is a good way to, get yourself some stability and be able to, work up that kind of corporate ladder and start from somewhere. And yeah, if you're looking for any of these jobs or any jobs in your particular discipline, again, we've got ones that are specifically code, art, production, design, QA, all of them. We've got as many, pretty much all of the jobs that are currently open in the UK and some in like Europe and Australia. We're still trying to expand those out. Those are all found. You can find them all on the Games Jobs Live, gamesjobs.live website. And yeah, I will say, if you're if you're looking for some things to continue doing, want to just let you know that in 2 weeks' time, on the 12th of June, we have the Game Parade Game Jam that is happening. We've just gotten over 90 people applying for it, so really cool. We'd really like to see that get to 100, which would be very exciting if we do, especially because we've not run it in a few years. Got some exciting judges, and I'm really excited for that game jam. So if you do want to get a lot more practical experience and specifically build a portfolio piece over 10 days, it's a good little bit of time to segment yourself in. 12th of June to 22nd of June. There's a link to sign up if you'd like to sign up for it. And yeah, there might be a video next week that'll be a little bit more of a simple explainer about some food for thought about what you could potentially do for the game jam. But you'll have to keep an eye out for that on Thursday. So yeah, until then, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I've been Harry Patch, wishing you best of luck in your journey, throughout the games industry. And we'll see you next week. See you later, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.